Hello, everybody. Welcome to Most Wanted Topics. I'm your host, Kevin Dennison, and back with us in the co-pilot seat is Atomic Tommy. Atomic Tommy, how you doing?
Good to be back. Good to be back.
Well, how are those studies going?
You know, they're going good. They're going good. Not happy to be doing them, but they're going good.
The academic career is moving forward, and hey, give him some support out there. Make sure you send him a message of support so the boy stays in college and he gets a good graduation so he can support mom and dad.
Yeah.
We need that. We need that. So,
yeah.
Anyway, we had a big week at Most Wanted Comics.
Yeah, we did, man. It was big.
Oh, we got
Huge.
a lot. We have a lot to talk about. We're a little disappointed today because the Vikings lost by 1 point.
We hope to be we hope to be coming at you today with reports of a 6-0, but unfortunately it's 5-1.
It didn't happen, but you know what? It was a great game. The Lions aren't bad, so it's not like we lost to a crappy team. The Lions are top-notch team, top-notch talent right now.
They're right up against us in the division, you know. So it's like
we do have the best division in all of football. So there is something to be said. Every game is going to be a battle, but
I don't hate losing to the Lions.
It didn't. You know? It didn't rain totally in my parade because I got to spend a couple of days with my favorite Vikings legend, Tim Irwin. We've been waiting for this week. Tim Irwin was here, Vikings legend. He signed autographs, took pictures. We had lots of fun. People drove from South Dakota, North Dakota, Duluth, Hastings, Rochester, all over the place to come and meet Tim Irwin. And I tell you what a hell of a guy.
He was really nice, really, really tall.
Really tall.
Really nice.
You can see in the picture here how short I am compared to him. It is unbelievable.
Yeah.
He is still got the height advantage. And we got to learn a lot about him. His stories were fantastic. We had a lot of fun. And we're going to show you the interview that we got to do with him. And when we come back after the interview, we have a big show for you. But it's just been a great week. Unfortunately, we capped it off with the Vikings loss, but all in all, a great week here at Most Wanted Comics.
Yeah,
and that's all we have to say. But here, you know what, you gotta meet Tim Irwin. If you never had a chance to meet him, here's kind of an opportunity. We did this interview with him at the store, so we're gonna play it for you now and get to know Tim Irwin a little bit, and then we'll talk about shop after. All right, the day I have been waiting for has arrived. The day I get to hang with my favorite football player ever, Tim Irwin, Vikings great, Vikings legend, Vikings greatest lineman in my mind. Tim, welcome to the show.
Well, I appreciate that. That's awful. That's awful nice of you, Ken. I don't know about greatest of all time, but I'll take it.
Well,
you know what? When you get my age, each year you get a little better. Each year when you look back on it, you remember it being a little better than it was.
In my day growing up, it was you and Anthony Munoz. It was the Pancake Kings, and I always loved watching you move people around, and you were aggressive. I loved the way you beat people up, and I just loved your pass blocking. I just loved watching you through the years. It was a true pleasure. I had a poster of you on my wall. And so just kind of geek and fanboy out. So it's super cool to have you here and to have me talking to you right now. But some other people may not know you. Let's kind of get your take on. You're from Tennessee,
right?
And you played for the University of Tennessee. Why don't we talk about kind of how you got there and how you got drafted?
I was pretty heavily recruited. I was a big kid in high school. I played at Knoxville Central High School, and then, of course, I wanted to be a University of Tennessee volunteer. But I took the other trips around the SEC. Ended up staying home. It was a good decision for me. But I was all set to go to law school after college. I kept getting a little better. I was 17 years old when I started college.
Okay.
And so I redshirted, and by the time I was
senior.
Yeah, I played my senior high school football season at 16. Didn't turn 17 till December.
Wow.
So I was young when I got there. And one year with Bill Battle, and he was gone, and John Majors came in. It was pretty tough around there. It was a tough place. And you had to get tough or get out. And I stuck around, so I guess I got tough. Yeah. A lot of guys did leave during those years.
Okay. So then you played for the Volunteers, and then the Vikings
drafted. And then lo and behold, I get drafted in the third round. I'm all set to go to law school. And Minnesota, there were 5 tackles taken in the first round, and I was the next one in the third round.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so there was a lot of tackles gone that year. Keith Van Horn and some of those guys were some of the other tackles. He was a great tackle, of course, for the Bears. But no, I was very excited. I my one wish was not to go someplace hot. I didn't know much about Minnesota before I came here, but I really loved the years I got to live here.
Yeah, and you got to experience cold weather.
I did. I like cold weather. I played the first year outside at the old Met, and then I was part of the team that opened the Metrodome. Then I came back for the 50th all-time team, and they honored us, and they happened to be playing – the dome had collapsed, and they happened to be playing at the University of Minnesota that night. I got a picture somewhere of carrying Bud Grant off the field.
Yeah, that's right.
Me and Matt Blair carrying Bud Grant off the field that night. So
that's pretty cool that you got to do that.
Yeah. So
and Bud Grant, he was tough. He wore a short sleeve shirt.
Yeah, he was.
Zero weather. I remember in the playoffs just not too many years ago, he came out for his honorary take to wish us good luck in the playoffs against Seattle.
Yeah,
he was a good coach. Now you got to play under several coaches. Let's talk about that for a little bit.
I played of course at first when I got here I had Bud, and I had John Michaels, who was consistent throughout most of my career as a line coach. He coached the running backs one year when Les Steckel was here, but I had Bud. Then for just one painful year I had Les Steckel, and then Bud again. And then Jerry Burns for 5 years, I think. And then Dennis Green. Yeah.
And then Dennis Green. Now, the coaches, obviously your favorite was Bud Grant.
I like playing for Bud a lot, and I love playing for Burnsy. It was really like the same.
Burnsy had to be the funniest coach you had to.
He was definitely the funniest coach.
Oh, gosh. He had to be.
And maybe the smartest.
Yeah?
Yeah, he was very smart. Very smart. Bud had a big sense of humor, too. He was just a very dry sense of humor, kind of a smart aleck sense of humor, but he loved playing jokes on people. I know we had a practice bubble over at Winter Park, and we'd walk back to the main complex where the locker room was through the snow in a path that they plowed for us, and you'd see a snowball come whizzing up from somewhere and hit somebody in the back of the head. It took me a long time to figure out that was Bud Grant throwing those snowballs.
That's pretty cool because everything is how strict he was and how you definitely knew he was in charge of the ship.
You know what though? He was a player.
Of course,
he was a player himself, and he knew what it was like to play and compete. And he had a lot of respect for guys that did that. And if you didn't play, if you didn't work at it, if you stayed in the training room all the time, you weren't going to be around there very long.
No, but that made Bud Grant. That's what made him a legend.
Yeah, he was the boss too, and you always want to play for the boss.
Yeah,
you don't want to play for somebody that's job scared.
Right.
You want to play for somebody that's confident and making decisions because they want to make them, not because somebody's pressuring them to make them. That's
cool. That's a good way to put that. What about Burnsy? I got to have a funny Burnsy story for me.
One thing that always sticks out is when we were in training camp and they were showing some old clips of how to run this particular play. And Burnsy he's pointing at the film and he's stammering. And he's back there by the projector and he's got the pointer and he's pointing the red dot at the quarterback. And he's going, no, watch number 10. And he was talking about Fran Tarkenton, so that was pretty bad. Yeah, he couldn't come up with his name at the spur of the moment there.
Did he have a lot of moments like that? There was a lot of isms.
There was. I remember him butchering the Teddy Roosevelt speech about the critic and the man in the arena. I remember him butchering the hell out of that one time.
Was that supposed to be an inspirational speech?
Yeah. Yeah, he was a colorful guy. Let me tell you something. He may not have been the best communicator. And he stuttered and carried on, but he was one of the smartest people I was ever around as far as football knowledge.
That's cool.
And we had two coaches that stuttered actually at the same time. We had Jerry Burns and Tom Moore, who went on to be Peyton's coordinator at the Colts. And Tom Moore's stutter was deeper. He'd say, "Run it again." You had them both in there. It was different. Yeah, it was a lot of fun though. I would.
That's cool.
I don't miss the practice, the games. I got my stay out. I played a long time. I miss my teammates. I miss my coaches. I mean, it was like a family. It was so close, you can't believe how close we were.
You were also in the good old days when training camp was in Mankato.
Absolutely.
And you had a lot of fun.
Love
with
Mankato. Yeah, I love Mankato.
Some players would probably disagree with you on that.
They just didn't stay there long enough to get used to it.
What was your favorite thing about Mankato training camp?
Oh, I liked a lot of things about the Mankato training camp. I liked the fact that you were away from it made sense to me to put you away from your family where you had no distractions. You were down there with a singleness of purpose. There wasn't a whole lot to
make the
to
team.
do in Mankato, but other than be a football player. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was an important part of what we did back then.
That's cool.
And I think it's hard to replace. I don't know how training camp goes now. I know they stay in a hotel right over there by.
Oh yeah, they got the
work.
rooms. It's all cushion gig for them. That facility, by the way, is very nice.
Beautiful. Absolutely.
You got kind of a taste of it now because being a legend, you got to be in the new facility, but you got to open the Winter Park, right? You got to.
Yeah, I opened Winter Park, and they were making the speeches, whatnot. And it was about 100 degrees that day, and we were all sitting on just fold-out chairs like you'd rent anywhere, and the chairs started sinking down into the new asphalt.
Oh, no.
It was kind of embarrassing, yeah. But, no, I opened Winter Park, and it was state-of-the-art complex. I remember specifically Al Davis coming and touring that complex.
Really?
When it was new. Yeah, he came over and toured it and came up. I was getting my ankles taped by Fred Zamberletti, the old trainer. And he comes up and slaps my ankle. He says, "Oh, Timmy here. He was almost a Raider." And I'm like, kiss my ass.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you've got some history too, for people you don't know. I mean, Tim Irwin got to be a part of it. I mean, he was part of the old Met.
That's right.
So you got to open and close the Metrodome.
Right.
So I mean, hey, so now other than the new facility, you went through the whole gamut.
I did.
I mean, of all our stadiums, and even got to be on the Gopher field.
I enjoyed every minute of it. If you could take one thing from this podcast that you could remember, you hear these guys saying, "I did it for my teammates, myself. I didn't hear the fans. I didn't hear." That's bullshit. I heard every boo, every cheer. I heard everything, and I loved it all.
Good.
And I don't blame people for booing at pro football games if you're not doing your job. They got it right. They pay a bunch of money for those tickets.
That's right.
And those guys are out there making more money than anybody could ever dream of, and I don't begrudge them a penny. I'm glad they're getting it.
I am too. I say if the market's willing to bear it, pay them.
Yeah, but I hope they're having as much fun as we did. That's what I hope.
You had a lot of fun. I can tell you had a great career. Now, for training camp, I know that's supposed to be the hard part because you make the team. You have to really show everybody. Who was the easiest coach for training? Because you played under Denny Green, Stackel, Burns, Bud Grant. Who was the training camp that probably was the easiest on you, would you say?
I'd say Denny Green's training camps were a little easier.
Okay.
Yeah. I'd say, yeah.
Wasn't as intense.
No, no, it just wasn't as demanding.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. Now, the toughest opponent you faced as an offensive lineman, you have some legendary names you played against.
One strange year, Steve Riley, who played left tackle for part of my career, I played right tackle, broke his thumb on his left hand. And it made it very difficult for him to extend that left arm out and push guys around the corner.
Sure.
So they swapped us for 5 games, and I played left tackle. And during that time, I caught Richard Dent, and I caught Leroy Selman twice. Leroy Selman, I think, was the most complete football player I ever played against. Let me tell you why. He got his sacks out of a 3-4 defense.
Okay.
He didn't line up wide, and he got his sacks while playing the run. He played the run just as well as the pass.
Yeah, so
I thought he was incredible.
He wasn't in a 2-point or just a 3.
I thought he was incredible.
Wow.
I thought Richard Dent could turn it on and off about as well as anybody. Lawrence Taylor was magnificent. I remember playing against him, and we were getting beat. It was the playoffs, and we were out of the game. And the whole stadium was chanting LT, LT, because he needed one more to make the sack record. And it was so loud that you couldn't hear the snap count at all. You had to try to move right when the ball moved at the same time he did. Well, he took about 2 steps one play before I moved a bit. I just reached out there and grabbed hold of everything I could get and slung him down and got flags on me from everywhere. I got booed out of the Meadowlands that day, but he didn't get that last sack on me.
That's good.
But I was proud of the way I played against good players. And, of course, you got the great Reggie White. I played against him. I bet I played against Reggie more than any other offensive tackle ever. I bet I played more snaps against Reggie White. I played against him in college in practice for 2 years, and I played against him as soon as he came to USFL. Some years I played him 3 times when he was with the Packers.
Oh, geez.
And he was a beast now.
He was a competitor.
Yeah.
I mean, but was he a super nice guy off the field, too? Or was he?
Reggie is a very sincere, very nice person. You don't want to make him mad. So we're playing the Packers, and this time we're at the Metrodome, and we're winning the game. It's a blowout. The game's virtually over. And the guard beside me sprains an ankle. And they bring a young rookie in the game at right guard named John Jarek. He's from Penn State. And he's a foul-mouthed little Yankee boy from Penn State. And we break the huddle. We come up the line. And he starts just dog cussing Reggie White, who's out on my nose. He's not on his nose. He's on my nose.
Game.
Yeah, this is his first game.
Okay, not smart.
He says, you old man, blankety blank that. It's time for you to move on. All that. Reggie can't believe it. He's just putting his hands on me, and he's kind of looking in there like a big old bear. And we go back to the huddle, and I say, kid, you don't want to do that. You do not want to wake him up. Because, I mean, he knew the game was over, too. We weren't getting a whole lot of effort out of him. It was perfect.
Right.
And we go back up, same thing. I don't say anything this time. Third time we go up, and they slide down to a Bear Eagle where Reggie's on his nose.
Okay.
And
now it's real.
It got deathly quiet. And you hear this big old voice say, "Oh, you should not have said that. Jesus is coming now." And I mean, he had him between those forearms, just beating him in the ground. The rest of us just stood around and watched.
That's what you get. You mouth off to a veteran.
I think the thing I'm very proud of my time with the Vikings and even Tampa and Miami is I never felt like I backed up to get my paycheck. I felt like I earned my paycheck. And
definitely did that.
I started 203 games, and that's with an asterisk because I didn't cross the line during the scab games.
No.
And I didn't do that. But that's with an asterisk. But I played. I played with pain. I played one game where I took an MRI film to Dr. Fisher. It said complete tear MCL.
Was that at Tampa?
Yeah, it was
Miami.
It was at Miami, but I was coming back here to play in the Metrodome the next week. He looked at that and he goes, not too bad. He said, we'll get this brace on you and see how it goes. Practice Friday, played Sunday, never missed a game. So
with a torn ACL?
MCL.
MCL. Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, but but it healed back. And it had a little knot on it they had to take off. Had a little bit of a bump on it where the tendon healed back together, and they took that off. But it was.
How many surgeries have you had?
16.
16 surgeries. Wow. Both.
Yeah, I've had both knees replaced now, and I've had my most recent one's been on my elbow. I've had a foot that's been operated on a couple of times. Had shoulders rebuilt and operated on, and just a lot of things. Just
all football.
Yeah.
That's crazy. But you've never taken one of it back.
I'd do it again tomorrow. I'd line up and do it all over again.
Well, it's definitely a bond to a family that you belong to in the NFL. I mean, there's so few that can do it. I mean, and let's talk about how big they are compared when you played. Yeah. I mean, they were beasts back then. I mean, Reggie White was no small guy.
No.
But now everybody's so big. I mean, let's talk about, because you were saying about Miami too when left the Vikings in Miami. I mean, let's talk about the size difference today.
After 14 years of lifting weights hard, I started out at 274 and was 6'7.5", and I was the biggest guy on the Vikings by far.
Okay.
And after lifting weights for 14 years, I weighed 315. My waist was 2 inches smaller, and there were 4 or 5 guys on the team that were bigger than I was. That's how much it changed in that length of time.
Wow.
And training techniques got so much better, and guys were taking care of themselves. I mean, when I started with the Vikings, we didn't have a food truck. The rookies had to buy 7 dozen donuts. There were 3 rookies.
7 dozen donuts.
So every third day we had to go to Byerly's and get 7 dozen. It couldn't be from a regular store. It had to be Byerly's.
Okay.
And get 7 dozen donuts.
Oh, wow.
Every day. Yeah. boy, that got old. And then, and so guys would live off those donuts and, of course, beer. That was their, we didn't have this. Now they've got training tables. As soon as they come off the field, I mean, you saw yesterday, we were out there, they got snacks and protein stuff ready for them. And
I was lucky. I was lucky, folks, because I was hanging with the man. I got to go and we got to have a little trip behind the scenes at the new facility. And I got to tell you what, boy, they really have it nice. The locker rooms are nice. They have a person just like a smoothie bar or whatever they make. They just walk up and there's people ready to make them whatever protein drink, whatever they need for their diets. They know their diets. They just walk up and get whatever.
They're dietitians. Those girls were dietitians.
Yeah, it's just crazy. So they know what they want, and just to have the access to that, and then getting to be on the field to watch a practice. How lucky was that? How cool?
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I wasn't sure if we could pull that off or not, but it worked out.
It worked out good. So it was really cool experience. Yeah. I tell you what, I'm really glad you made the trip to Minnesota. I really appreciate you coming.
I love Minnesota. I got great memories from here. And if Minnesota had mountains, I might still live here. If my family wasn't so much of my family in Tennessee, I loved Minnesota.
Well, Tennessee's a great state. I like I said, if I couldn't live in Minnesota, that'd be the state I would choose to live in. So for us, I mean, we visit Tennessee a lot, but no, we'll have to get you back here again. And this time, I know this isn't the top 10 from K102 when you used to do the K102 country show, radio show. And then I remember, we'll have to get you out because I know you're a bass fisherman. I love bass fishing. We'll have to get you out here, go fishing.
Oh, I like that.
That's what we'll have to do. We'll have to get
Matter of fact, last year I came from Legends Week and I stayed to see the concert over there, the Eagles and the Doobie Brothers at St. Paul Civic Center. So there were 2 or 3 days in between. So I called an old buddy up and went fishing out at Waverly, Minnesota.
Oh, perfect.
Caught a couple. It was not the time of year. It was like late October, later than now, maybe.
Oh, one more thing, too, for everybody out there. This guy's a big country music fan like I am. And I tell you what, he is in a band, and they're called the Chillbillies.
Yeah, we're thinking about a big new sponsorship, too, with Depends. We'll get a little age on us.
And then you can be sponsored by Most Wanted Comics.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. You can always bring a collection of Most Wanted Comics.
Yeah, we still go out. We used to go out 6 or 7 times a month. Now we go out more like 6 or 7 times a year, but we still go. Still sounds the same.
Yeah, and hopefully you get to open for some national acts, too, sometime again.
Yeah, we do. We sold out. I got a show Wednesday night at a place called the Station Inn. Sold out in 4 minutes on the internet.
There you go. That's awesome. Well, I got to say, Tim, it's been a real pleasure. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for signing autographs for our people at Most Wanted Comics. It's everything I had hoped for. You're fantastic. You're a great player, and you're my Hall of Famer, and I just want to say thank you again for coming.
Well, I appreciate that. You might be the only Hall of Fame I'm in, but I appreciate it.
You're in the Most Wanted Comics Football Hall of Fame.
That's right. That's a big
all that
one.
matters. Yeah. Thanks, Tim. Oh, what a great interview. I tell you what, it was just such a pleasure to hang with him and get to know him. And Tim, thanks for making me feel special and like a kid fulfilling a dream at Disney World or something, because it was a lot of fun meeting a childhood idol, and we had a lot of fun. Yeah. And I'll remember it forever.
It was a great day. Great weekend for you. I
had some great memories to take away from it. So, unfortunately, we didn't cap it out for the Vikings win, but what the hell, we move on.
Yep.
All right, let's talk Most Wanted Comics. We have a lot to talk about. Tuesday, October 22nd, already coming up. That's tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Can you believe that? So tomorrow night, October 22nd, Tuesday night, Most Wanted Comics, we have Gary Trent Sr. from the former Minnesota Timberwolves coming, and we're going to kick off the Timberwolves season because they play the Lakers, I believe, opening night. And so we're going to kick off our sports card night, which is every Tuesday night from 5:30 to 8, and we now call it Sundown Sports Cards because we have to do it after sundown. So we thought that was kind of a cool little intro to our section. And so now Most Wanted Comics becomes Sundown Sports Cards from 5:30 to 8 on Tuesday nights. And kicking off our Tuesday night Sundown Sports Cards night will be Gary Trent Sr. So make sure you come. All the details are on mostwantedcomics.com. So make sure you come and check it out. Meet a former player, have some fun, get an autograph, say hi, get a selfie. We're going to have lots of fun with that.
Yeah.
And also, we're wrapping up. This is our last week for our food drive. We want to thank you to everybody who's participated so far. We've had a lot of good donations come in. I can't wait to do the poundage of how much we donated. So we're excited to get that over to Veep here at the end of the week. So this is your last week to do it. Remember, bring in 5 or more non-expired, non-perishable food items and get 15% off your purchase at Most Wanted Comics for the Veep Food Drive here in Bloomington. And we'll wrap that up and then get on with our awesome November stuff. But I tell you what, we're ready to roll here. Let's talk about some comic books.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what came out and review some things and what's to come.
Yeah, New York Comic Con was this past weekend. We're going to get to that. But first, there's a couple books that we need to talk about. First, let's talk about Nightwing. Nightwing wrapped up. Tom Taylor is officially done with Nightwing. Ended his run.
End of an era.
Am I far off in saying that it's probably one of DC's best-selling titles these last couple of years? One of the best runs in the last couple of years. Am I out there for saying that? Because I don't know about anybody else. This could be just me, but it was kind of mid. All right, the ending wasn't great. Now, it wasn't bad. Like in terms of the actual story and wrapping up the story. It was fine, right? It was fine.
It was safe.
They scared us with Nightwing's dog, but that's okay, right? The dog was fine at the end. Everything's fine, right? But the problem is that's kind of all it was. It was a fine conclusion to that individual story. And I get it, Nightwing's not ending. The run is still continuing, just with a different writer. But Tom Taylor, this was a big run. This was a big deal. This is sort of an era-ending issue, and I just me, but I feel like that could have needed a little more fanfare.
I don't know if it needed the grand finale fireworks. I disagree. I think they did play it a little too safe. I agree, but the astute reader of Nightwing that I am says that playing it safe ain't bad because they're not changing it.
That's true. That is true.
They're not changing it out.
I just think it was a fine ending for the story. But I could have used it. I think it could have used a little more fanfare. I think there could have been. It could have hit a little heavier. I think because this is a big ending, it is a big issue.
I just hope they don't just take liberty, whoever's writing Nightwing for now, and then change Nightwing.
Yeah,
that's the worst.
Yeah.
Then to your point, we could have had fanfare, have something happen to him, whatever. I hope they don't take that new writer, new Nightwing identity.
Yeah,
I hope that doesn't happen. But yeah, I'm with you. Maybe there could have been some more, but I kind of like just, what? It ended subtly because he's still Nightwing.
Yeah.
It's just, it's just a different captain taking over the ship.
That was never in question. I don't think they were ever, I didn't think even if there was more question, I don't think they were ever going to do something like, oh, he died. Like they were never going to do that. But I just think that, the story with Heartless and everything was okay. Again, even the ending to that felt a little anticlimactic, right? Given everything that happened in the last 4 issues, he was just kind of taken down. You know what I mean? So even that was a little anticlimactic. And again, there just wasn't really much to that end, and I just think there could have been a little bit more. But that was Nightwing. The other book we need to talk about, the other ending, new beginning that also involves Tom Taylor, was Titans. Titans came out this week. Because, with DC All In, they're not doing new number ones. They're just doing new creative teams and picking them up under the All In umbrella. So, Titans came back with a new writer. Before it was Tom Taylor. And I've said on this show multiple times, I really liked Tom Taylor on Titans. There were problems with the Titans, right? Like the characters, there was a lot of, I think, internal problems at DC that kind of led to some issues with the Titans, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll abbreviate.
There was some strife.
Basically, DC at the end, there was strife. And basically, DC at the end of Dark Crisis killed off the Justice League, brought him back, but the Justice League retired, right? The Justice League stopped. They said, hey, our time's over. It's time for the Titans. So they basically replaced the Justice League with the Titans. And over this last year, it's sort of been the Titans as the main heroes of DC. The problem with that, they didn't really do anything. Nothing really happened other than that Titans Beast World War thing that happened that I thought wasn't that great. But again, Tom Taylor's Nightwing was strong. And again, a lot of those problems I think were more editorial and like editor-writer clash rather than a Tom Taylor exclusive issue. but I thought the run was good. You know, it ended kind of with the Raven thing, which was kind of overdone, but it's always kind of a fun story. You know, Trigon's a staple DC Titans villain, and it's always fun to see him come back. And now we're here in the new Titans era, a new writer, a new story. And did it live up to what Tom Taylor left behind? Kind of.
We'll find out.
Kind of. You know, the problem is that the story was, again, kind of mediocre. You know, there were things about it that I liked. I liked seeing Arsenal back. Arsenal is a great character. He's a staple Titans character. And I kind of like the story they kind of set up for him, you know, post Absolute Power with Green Arrow and all that kind of stuff. That was kind of cool. You know, the whole, like, there was one little moment with, like, Raven and Trigon, and that was kind of, like, weird because they just did that. You know, that was kind of weird. But what really took me out of the book, what really just rubbed me the wrong way, man. Apparently I'm out of the loop. Apparently this kind of leaked last month. I didn't hear about it. Some fan I am, but Flash has a new suit, okay?
This is what we have to say about that.
This is what we have to say.
Well, this sucks.
I saw it. I mean, I opened up Titans today to give it a read before the show, and what do I find? Just the first look. And this might be the first appearance of Wally's new suit. I don't think it's been around anywhere else in canon so far. And I hadn't seen it before prior to opening the book. I opened up the first page, and it's like my eyes were gouged out with a fork.
First impressions are everything, and we can say this.
Well, this sucks.
That was terrible. It's absolute. It's horrendous. I got a picture of it here. You can see it. This is classic DC editor over-design nonsense. I don't know what's going on with all the black. I don't know what's going on up here. I mean, what is this? The earpiece goes into the eye. That is just ass, right? I don't know why there's like black highlights along the mouth. What is happening here? This is terrible. Wally's suit was already perfect. It was already arguably one of the best Flash suits in the history of the character. And you go on to what? This is terrible. It's terrible. And for the people out there who are coming out like, well, they got to remarket for new action figures. Are you really going to sit here, look me in the eye, and tell me that Todd McFarlane, Toddy Mac, is going to make a figure of that? That is horrible.
Nope.
That's horrible. First of all, he's too busy making 1 million Superman releases every wave. Second of all, he's like a year behind on everything. I mean, they just this year did a Wally West Dawn of DC from last year. So they're a year behind, which isn't unusual, but that figure was unpurchasable because the head sculpt was so bad. So, no, I can't reasonably justify them doing it for marketing releases because Todd McFarlane has no interest in releasing based off modern comics, right? I mean, it's been a year and we're still getting staple characters. It's been like, what, 5-6 years
and
since
Todd,
he
if you'd like
that?
to reach Tommy, you can reach him at P.O. Box 803.
I don't have a problem with Todd McFarlane and the DC Multiverse, but like that reasoning, because I know some people are throwing that out there. They only make new suits for marketability and more action figures. Well, this isn't going to be an action figure. They're doing this for no reason. This is just bad.
You know, it's not just the greatest takes for nothing, but it's also the passion.
The passion
that you have. Tommy giving us the takes.
And now
passionately.
They make a good decision by keeping Simon Spurrier writing the Flash. They're not changing the creative team on the Flash going forward. Simon Spurrier's still writing it. That is a W. All right, he's done really good so far. But now I have to read that, looking at this, and I'm not looking forward to that. You know. But anyway,
our audience wants the review, so we have to read it.
Yeah, well, obviously I'm gonna read it. It's the Flash. That's my character. But I just can't believe that. But anyway, let's move on to New York Comic Con.
Blood pressure down. Let's talk about some releases, some drops.
Yep, there was a lot of news at New York Comic Con, and even though I just spent the last 5-6 minutes trash talking DC, they kind of, I think, had the better reveals this year. Some of the stuff that DC announced. Even Todd, we don't have to talk about McFarlane announcements at their panel, but some of their figures look really good too. But DC Vertigo is back. That alone is huge.
Yep.
Under the sort of nice house James Tynion stuff, that's sort of headlining DC Vertigo. Absolutely amazing to see that back. Also, more absolute stuff. Absolute Martian Manhunter. Crazy good. I mean, that is just they're gonna absolutely kill it with this.
Everybody loves Martian Manhunter.
Stole the show. That was incredible. And there weren't really like a ton of stuff. There was a lot of stuff that I think was talked about. I wasn't there. I haven't kept up with all the leaks. I just only kind of know the stuff that was officially announced. But those two things alone, I think are really, really important. I know there was more information on other Absolute titles like Absolute, Flash, Green Lantern, that kind of stuff. But dude, everything, I think DC, those were just such W titles. And Marvel announced a lot. Like there was a lot of Marvel announcements. So we're going to get to them in a little bit. But all I kind of felt while, looking at those Marvel announcements and hearing them was just kind of tiredness, like, here we go, the same stuff again. You know what I mean? Like, it's constantly revitalizing the same
DC
ideas,
is due for a run now because they've sucked for so long. So they're due for a resurgence. And Absolute kicked them off. The Absolute world is off to a great start with Absolute Batman. Now it's got everybody anxious for Absolute Superman and Absolute Wonder Woman. We're going to wait to see how this Absolute world plays out. But they need this.
Yeah.
Because DC's been dead for so long. I mean, hell, we've been talking about it. Image sales are beating out Batman. They're big, their biggest, in numbers. So when that's happening, there needs to be somebody up top saying, hey, look, we kind of suck right now. We need this.
Yeah.
They needed to have good drops. They needed to have good releases.
Yeah.
And so far now, everybody's excited. Can they follow through?
Yeah, that's important.
That's the big thing. They're coming out now. We got a new creative team on their most stable run. Nightwing was DC's most stable run in the arsenal that they had coming out. It's over now. They've got a new creative team. All in, new creative teams. Absolute. They brought in the heavy hitters. Mm-hmm. Think about that. Snyder on Batman. And
Jason Aaron
on Superman. They're bringing in the heavy hitters, so they need this bad.
Yeah, they do.
So
and the sleeper, I think, they announced a new Aquaman ongoing, and a lot of people like Aquaman. I like Aquaman, so it's cool to see Aquaman come back a little bit and get a new number one. But Marvel, moving on to Marvel, they did have a lot of announcements. Their biggest, I think, being Ultimate Wolverine. That was announced. That'll be important. And also their new big event for 2025, I think it was called like One World Under Doom or something. So a new Doctor Doom thing. The whole premise is like he's the Sorcerer Supreme now, and he's messing stuff up. So a new Doom event. Hey, I think we all know why that's happening.
Of course.
There's a Avengers movie with Doctor Doom coming out in sub 2 years. So I think we all know why. Doctor Doom is going to be the face of Marvel for about the next year. So I think we can all get ready for that. But also there was other stuff like, Spider-Verse versus Venomverse, the big collab that nobody will read. That'll be cool. Also, also they have other crazy stuff that get ready for the groundbreaking projects. Eddie Brock Carnage. Get ready for that. Look at that. Eddie Brock is Carnage.
They've
groundbreaking stuff.
They've kind of ridden Carnage and Venom to the ground now.
Yeah.
I'm kind of done with it. I really don't care. You know what? The characters look awesome. They always have. Always will, but that's about the extent of it now.
Yeah.
They serve no purpose in the Marvel Universe. I really don't care for those characters. They need to bring back Ghost Rider more. They need to bring, like they're doing with Wolverine.
Yeah.
They need to bring back the Punisher more in a good story instead of a shitty story. They've got a lot of work to do at Marvel now because Marvel's just kind of hanging their hat on the two. We get it. Carnage is cool. Venom was cool for a while. But it's over now. They're just cool characters, and that's all you can say about them. But they have no longevity.
That's right. And as we're talking about this, another epic DC title they announced is coming at me here. Justice League: The Atom Project. Ray Palmer, Ryan Choi, Captain Atom, all criminally underused characters, and I think that'll be really cool. But subsequently, then we get to read, Eddie Brock Carnage, which is like a.
No one cares.
Yeah, no one cares.
But Image is still strong. DC's starting to come around now. They'll have their moment in the sun, and we'll get to rip some Marvel titles for a while instead of DC titles.
Always fun.
It's always fun.
But we got, again, let's talk about what's coming up this week. We got a couple of big things.
Yep. There's some big releases coming out.
Kicking it off, we were just talking about Absolute. We continue with this week with Absolute Wonder Woman. Gonna be an absolute slammer, I think. Gonna be a hit. Get your copies if you can. We're all excited to see, can this live up to Absolute Batman?
Well, as fast
Will
as
it
Absolute Batman
keep
sold
up?
out, I'm assuming Absolute Wonder Woman.
I hope so. I mean, there's already a lot of hype for it. A lot of our people are already asking about it. Absolute Wonder Woman kicks off this week. Also, another Green Lantern title, another Elseworlds title, Green Lantern Dark #1. New take on Green Lantern. Elseworld stuff is always. I'm always keen to check out a new Elseworlds title, so I'll be keeping an eye out for that. Also from Marvel, a new #1. Surprise, surprise! Iron Man #1. We've been a few months without Iron Man. You know, it's been a while since we've had Iron Man on the shelf. Iron Man comes back this week.
They were all confused because they thought of him as Doom.
They were confused. Yeah, they were all confused.
What do you mean? I thought he was Doom. No, Iron Man's not Doom. Just the actor.
Just the actor.
Just the actor. Just the actor. Hey, if you like what you see, please smash the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We always do this. You know what it's time for? Atomic Tommy.
Shout out.
Shout out. I tell you what, we take grief if we don't do this the right way. So we got to be careful. Right. So we're going to start off right. You know, we're going to do our shout outs here. We're going to do Matt and JD. Of course, Matt and JD staples of the show. And of course, Dan, our State Farm agent, man. Of course, Jimmy DeSouza helping us keep the lights on every week at Most Wanted Comics.
Absolutely.
Dean, Caleb, David, a.k.a. Superman. Hey, David, a shout out to you, bud. We love having you come into the store and shop comics with us. Mark, Brian, Jeff, Ryan, Jim, Liz, Sheila, the Gostovich family, of course. Shout out, boys. Pat, Sydney, Shanice, Larry, Rick, and of course, all our up north contingent up there in Duluth area, and also,
shout out Rick.
Oh yeah, I just said Rick. We got Rick in the up north contingent.
Yep.
So anyway, we just want to make a shout out to you guys. Make sure that you follow us every week. We hope you had fun this week with us. And by the way, remember, November is Yo-Jovember.
Yo-Jovember.
November 23rd, Larry Hama coming. So mark your calendars, November 23rd. Larry Hama is coming. And, you guys, it's been a pleasure this week. We look forward to seeing you next week. And be safe and have a great week, everybody.